Hi, everybody. I'm so sorry about the delay, and I so appreciate you taking the time to spend some time with me this afternoon. This is our long-awaited content generation call. We're going to go over a lot of information today, and we're going to do it live. So nobody offered their property, so because Reichert House just opened a few weeks ago, we're going to use them as our guinea pig. We're going to go through a lot of different resources that you all are using on a regular basis, so we will talk about lots of different stuff. So go ahead and get started. I see I've had a lot of people already leave their name and property in the chat box. So if you haven't yet done that, please do so that I can use it to take attendance. And I did also see some emails from people coming in as well. This will also be where you can ask me any questions. So I was just checking my email to see if there had been any that came in so far, or anybody that dropped off the call. So again, if you have any questions throughout the course of the call, please go ahead and leave them in the comment section, either in the video or you can leave them via email, and we'll leave plenty of time for that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Wish I could do a particular application, but I cannot. Okay, so we'll go ahead and share. I'm going to get back to the beginning here. Sorry about that. All right, so just to kind of give you an idea of what we're going to go over today, we'll kind of just do a review of content generation, and then we'll get into the planning section, so targeting, both figuring out who the right customers are to be in contact with and how we should craft our language for particular guests that follow us, and also how we can make sure that our voice is what it should be so that we're communicating with our appropriate brand. Then we'll actually go through the process of creating the content. So we talked about a few different types of content the other day. We'll talk about the process that we go through to create those. And then we'll go really in depth into copywriting as well, so how we can create engaging content. And then we'll talk about the posting portion of that. And that, of course, is done through, for most of our properties, done through Nuvve. I won't go over how to schedule it ahead in Facebook because that's only one of a number of platforms. Nuvve allows us to pre-schedule everything to all platforms ahead of time. So as we saw, of course, the process that we're always going to follow is a planning, content generation, publishing, and analytics. So one feeds into the other. Once we've decided who it is that we're talking to and what it is that we're trying to talk about, that gives us an idea of where to go when we're looking for and crafting our content and our messaging. So that brings us to content generation. Once we've created the content, of course, the next logical step is to put it in a closet and never look at it again. I'm just kidding. Of course, that's not the next logical step. The next logical step is to publish it out on our channels. And then once we've done that, the only way that we know if it's been productive or if it's been helpful for us is to go through that process again and take a look at the analytics. So how is it performing? Is it, are people engaging with it? Are they sharing it a lot? Are they liking it? Are they commenting on it? And how are their comments when they're engaging with a post? Does it make them happy or angry or sad? What is the type of engagement that we have with them with those posts? Okay. We also have a content ratio that we talked about the other day, or yesterday rather. So again, 60% of our content should be curated. Curated means that it comes from other places on the web. It could be articles, it could be photos, it could be videos, basically anything that we are not originally creating. Good examples of this are if you are mentioned in like a USA Today travel writing thing, that would be something you could share. Photography that comes from a wedding photographer, that is curated content. Recipes from other places on the web, if you wanted to share a sangria recipe for your new restaurant, that is all curated content. So it could be video, photo, text, or links, or really anything else. Anything else that comes from not our property. The other breakdown is 30% original content. Original content could be job postings that you have at the property, blog posts that you or your team have written, photos of you or your staff or your guests that you have taken, video within the kitchen that you have taken. So again, any number of types of content, just so long as it's content that you've created. And then 10% of content can be promotional. So these ratios fluctuate a little bit, but this is generally a good idea to kind of stick with. If you're creating lots of original content, that's fantastic. But every now and again, you want to throw in a little bit of curated content. If all you're doing is promoting your hotel, you definitely want to take some time just to have some enjoyable content for your customers without trying to sell them on something. So that's exactly what a promotional piece is when you're trying to sell, when you're trying to convert the person who's seen your post, you're trying to convert them from just somebody who's viewing or following or liking into somebody who's buying. So if you're sharing wedding content from wedding photographers that have been at your property, that's curated content. If you're sharing photos of that same wedding that you've taken, that's original content. If you're sharing photos of that wedding and a link to your wedding promotions package, or sharing just your wedding promotions package and asking people to book their weddings for a percentage off, that's promotional content. And we'll talk a little bit about it as we go on, but we have done Facebook advertising trainings before that go into more depth with this, but promotional content is not always paid advertising. Promotional content can be unpaid. I can ask somebody to stop at my lemonade stand without, spending $50 on Facebook advertising. We also talked about post and the post composition. So it's made up of 3 different parts. The first part is the copy and content that you utilize. So again, that would be the link, the photo, the video, and then the words that go along with it to describe it. They should never be, there are some that, because a picture tells 1,000 words, sometimes there is a photo or a video that doesn't necessarily need much description. However, anytime you have a link or a photo or a video, you want to have a clear description of what's within it. So those go together. You need to have a description for your content. So copy goes with your content. Then you would utilize @ and hashtagging. So an @ tag is directly to a person, kind of like an email address. And a tag is about a subject or a conversation or a theme, kind of like the subject line in an email would be. And then the final part, which is optional, you don't have to do it, but you certainly can, is a call to action. And that could be something as simple as saying, like this post to show your support for our Ambassador of the Month. Or it could be vote on the name for our new mascot. Or it could be click this link to book now. So those are all calls to action. You're asking somebody to take additional steps. Any questions so far? I'm gonna, before we dive into guest targeting, I just want to address any questions that you all might have. Welcome on, everybody from Wichita. Glad to have you all here. I'm going to go ahead and open up a file here. I had some difficulty logging in, so all of this had been set aside for us, but I had to pull it down in order to reboot and get in. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is going to be how to target people appropriately, and there's a few ways that we do that. So first, I'm going to talk about our brand. If you are part of a brand, the first thing that you should do when you're trying to come up with how you communicate with your guests is pull up your brand documentation. So a good example of this, and I'll show it to you right now. So a good example of this would be, oh, sorry about that. Let me try this one more time. Okay, so a good example of this, can you all still see my screen, I wonder? Yes. Hope. Okay, cool, you can. Sorry, I was just making sure. Okay, so a good example of this is here within Dropbox, I have the DoubleTree Hotel Graphics and Identity Standards. So this goes over how visually and verbally a DoubleTree property communicates. So let's go through this really quickly so you can see it goes over the brand voice, the tagline, the name, the logo, how the stationery system works. So most of if you're part of a specific brand, most of you will have this. So whether it be a Hilton Garden Inn or a Renaissance Hotel, or anything like that, you probably already have this information. And even especially within our more recent new independent properties or autograph collection properties or tribute properties, in all likelihood, there's something similar to this lying around for your property as well. I'll show you another one just so that you don't think that I'm fibbing at all. So let me take a look at El Paso. This will be a good one. So El Paso has specific branding information. Let's take a look at the style guide. I think that would be just fine for us. So taking a look here at the style guide, we see about building the brand and the brand experience. So we talk about the essence of the brand. We talk about the kind of taglines for it: refined, historic, authentic, enhancing, and what that means for our guests, offering curated experiences that highlight the people and culture of El Paso. And just so that you kind of have an idea of the feeling of what it is that you should be communicating to your guests. So if you don't have that, or even if you do, we want to be a little bit more in depth with that. We want to be able to talk about our hotel specifically. So if you're within a DoubleTree brand, the DoubleTree in Charlottesville is different from the DoubleTree in Wichita, is different from the DoubleTree in Minneapolis Park Place, is different from the DoubleTree in downtown St. Paul. Each of you have your own unique personalities. Just because my sister and I both share the same last name does not in any way mean that we are the same person. So you want to be able to go through and clearly articulate what personality you have. And there's this brand voice worksheet, which is available for all of you, and I will send it out with the follow-up from all of our 3 trainings. This is a quick worksheet that you can go through to kind of provide your stepping off point. So you might have your color, you might know what, again, DoubleTree, what your tagline is just in general, but to know more specifically about your property, you would go through that. So the first thing that you would do is you would determine the brand voice for the business. And because I'm using the Reichert House as an example today, I'm going to go ahead and pull up their brand voice worksheet. So I'm just going to minimize this one, and we'll go into the Reichert House. And their brand voice is right here. So this gets a little bit more in depth. We have brand voice including the voice, the character, and what that means for their property as far as how it's communicated in all areas of the hotel. So that's another nice thing about this brand voice is it can be your jumping off point to utilize in email correspondence, to utilize in collateral for wedding marketing. Your brand voice worksheet can really be the foundation for all of your guest communications, and it can be a great tool for training your new staff as well, whether it be sales managers or front office people or restaurant people, anything like that. So you'll see that they've selected a few items from each of those little pieces of the worksheet that we saw before. So you'll see here that we have the brand voice worksheet, and there are a number of different character adjectives that we have to describe us. So professional, authoritative, playful, inspiring, warm, and friendly. Same with tone, language, and purpose. And here you'll see that they've selected some of their own. So we know that the Reichert voice is warm and playful, but professional. We're personal and humble and honest. And we use language that's simple to understand and fun. The reason we communicate is to engage with, inform, and delight our guests. So you'll notice there's a few things here, like there's inform and educate, and those are a little bit different. Educating makes it sound as though you are, or the kind of meaning behind that is that you're giving somebody a width and breadth of information about something so that they have a full understanding of each aspect. So to educate somebody on the city of Amherst is to give them the entire, to give them the history so that they understand kind of all the nuanced areas. But informing may be just to let them know pieces of information, and then they can decide if there's something else that they'd like to dive into with more depth. So for me to say I am informed about, I'm informed about sailing, but I'm not educated on sailing. So I know about sailing and I've been on a boat before, but that doesn't mean I know how to captain a vessel myself. So that's kind of a metaphor that I can use for you to understand the difference between informing and educating. So different areas within this brand voice, there are words that seem like they may be the same, like playful and fun might be the same thing, but those break down individually. So I'll send out the brand voice worksheet for all of you to work on. And once you've figured out who you are and how you need to communicate, the next step is to look at who you would like to communicate with. So we're gonna go into Nuvi, because most of our properties are already set up in Nuvi. So this is a good place for most of you to start with. If you're brand new, if you're a brand new property, this is going to be a little bit more of a shot in the dark for you. You would think about generally the types of customers that you might be interested in communicating with. So let's say you're a luxury tier property, so you know that you're not going to be necessarily speaking with family value travelers. You're going to be speaking with perhaps business travelers or families that are going to visit their children at prestigious universities, or business leaders within the area, perhaps even nationally and internationally. So those are ways that generally, if you're a brand new property, you can lay out your targeting, your guest targeting in a more general way. So to look at the market overall, and then to look at the kind of targeting that you're doing. So if you're a DOSM, if you're a director of sales and marketing and you're on the call today, think about the roles of each of your sales managers and the market that they target. And that's a good way to, at the very least, start very generally with who you might want to target. So if you're driving a lot of catering business for weddings, then obviously you would be targeting, well, who books weddings, and that can change depending on what area of the country you're in. Sometimes it's young professional women who are funding weddings themselves with their fiancés who are increasingly more engaged. But perhaps you're in a very traditional marketplace. Let's say you're in Michigan and you have a large Arabic population. So oftentimes it's the Arabic and Indian population. So oftentimes it's the mother and the father that are going to be more involved with the planning and funding of a wedding. So your targeting, even within a particular market, might be different. So that's a little bit of information so far. Any questions on the brand voice? Yogi, that issue that you're having with Nuvi, we'll see if we can address later on. If you can just send me an email note about that, I would appreciate it. I'm not sure why it's not letting you schedule a post for the future, but we'll take a look at that when we're done with this particular training, unless it becomes an issue while we're in the training itself. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is take a look at our audience. So from within the Nuvi platform, you would select channels, and I'm logged in under the Greenwood Hospitality Group page. So I have all of the properties that are attached to my account here, but I'm going to take a look at Facebook for the Reichert House. The reason why I'm going to do that is it's going to give me the breakdown of demographics for our properties. So you'll see up here, it gives me the snapshot of all of the different areas, so how many posts we've had to the timeline, but I really want to go right down here to demographics. So you can see that I have over 700 people that like the page. 226 of them are male and 491 of them are female. So right there, that gives you an idea of who you are marketing to on social media. Now, Facebook, of course, is oftentimes for most of our properties going to have the largest number of followers for any of our properties. So it's a good baseline. That doesn't mean that as you get more advanced within your social media campaigns and your social media presence, you want to look at the targeting because it might be different platform to platform. So LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook all have slightly different audiences, as we talked about yesterday. So you'll want to get more nuanced in that. But generally, Facebook demographics are a great place to jump off from. Pardon me. Okay. Excuse me. So again, we have our demographics here. You can see that 163 of our followers are within the 35 to 44 female age range. And then you also have 25 to 34 and 18 to 24 that are kind of neck and neck there. You can also see that even within our largest male demography, which is 45 to 54, it's still less than our female demographics here from 18 to 34. Any questions about that so far? I'm just going to pop over to the comments box. So I'll give you just a couple of minutes. There's a delay between when I say something and when you hear it of about 15 seconds or so. So I'll give you some time to take a look in there and see if you have any particular questions. So then once I have my my demographics here, I can also take a look over within the geographics section. So I can take a look by country, which might be really cool, especially if you are pulling in a lot of people from other countries. So you can see we have 696 people from the United States, 13 from Canada. We have a few from France, a couple from Sweden, a couple from the UK, Myanmar's representing, Taiwan also. Ooh, who's in here? Also France, that must be French Polynesia, perhaps? Yeah. Okay, so we have one property that has somebody following them from Antarctica, and the population there is really non-existent. There's a scientific population, so it's really cool. So if you want to mess everybody up and get people all excited, I highly recommend going into your Facebook and setting your location as Antarctica, because then when people are marketing, might get out of all that because you're in Antarctica. Okay, anyway, you can break down by country, but you can also break down by city, and this is usually what's going to be most helpful. It's a great way to see how many people are engaging with your page that are from your area, and also what your other feeder cities are. We were looking at this for the Embassy Suites in Oklahoma City not too long ago, and they had a lot of cities that were following their page from some of their large feeder cities, and we realized that it may have been associated with the military bases that are in each of those cities. So that shifted our understanding of who we might want to target to. Historically, we hadn't really done any targeting for those military families, but it may be something for us to look into. So we put together we mirrored our normal packages. So we have a theme park in the area and a shopping plaza, a shopping mall in the area. And so we do a Splash and Thrills package for the water park, and we do a shopping package for the mall. And what we did is we mirrored those packages and offered a military discount. I'm using air quotes on that, military discount, because we discounted it off of the room without discounting the cost of the outside ticket. So you can do this as well if you're finding that if you're kind of within a market that you might have opportunity to offer, like let's say it's a AAA discount, but there's nothing that says that you can't offer that AAA discount off of the room and have it be a local museum package that just is offered to those customers as well, if that's a big feeder for you. So that's some of the things that your geographic demography can really help you break down. So you can see here we've got a couple people from Charlotte, North Carolina. We've got Troy, Minneapolis, Denver. These are probably our Greenwood people out in Denver. Thanks, guys. We have Gainesville, Rockville, Hummelstown, New York, Boston. So, but primarily Buffalo is our big feeder. Now, again, we've got a lot of people within Buffalo, but we have over 700 people that like the page. So half of them are from Buffalo, but there's a lot of people coming from other small cities within the area as well. So again, within that demography, we can get an idea of where they're coming from as well. I'm going to pop into the questions, see if there have been any questions that have come in so far. Okay, so those are the major tools for us to be able to break down who it is that we're talking to and who we are when we're communicating. So let me pop back over to our presentation. So we already, again, we talked about guest targeting. We have an understanding that for the Reichert House, we know who we are. We've worked through our brand voice, and we know that we're primarily talking to a female base, a lot of whom are coming from the local area. So that gives us, we talked about brand voice, that gives us an idea, I don't know why that messed up, but that gives us an idea of what types of content we can generate. And there's a number of different tools for that. So while we go through the process of content generation, we're going to break down into each of those 3 types of content. And first is the curated content. So first we need to find out where to get our content from. Now there are a few different ways that we can do that. Again, I'm going to take a look. There's a few different tools that we have out here. There's a few different tools out there. You may have, let's say, a local news source that's good for you, any local museums that you have, any local publications in Baton Rouge. The Dig is a big one. It's a food and beverage publication that's specific to that Baton Rouge area. All throughout the country, there are local publications specific to different cities and central locations. So really important for you to look at those sorts of things as resources to generate content from. Especially if your demographics are from within the local area, you know that they have local interest as well. So a few different places for me to get that content, other content from, and I'll show you 2 of them. So one of them is within Pocket. Pocket is a great place for you to save anything that you have found before. There are extensions available on Internet Explorer, Safari, Google Chrome, and Firefox for Pocket. So basically what that would mean is anytime that you're going throughout the web, if you come across an article that you like, but you don't have an opportunity to put together a piece of content for it at that time, there would be a little button up in the top right-hand corner. Mine's not set up right now, but you would be able to just hit Pocket and it will drop it into your Pocket account. And it saves it here within a list of different, a lot of these are, for me, things about travel, gardening, different professional stuff. Ooh, lavender hand cream, cranberry cocktails. That's awesome. So it's kind of like Pinterest, but it's really just for you to be able to go back and refer stuff back to it. And it doesn't have to have any visual aspect to it. So it could be a completely text-based article, and you can still save it to Pocket to utilize later. You also there's a section of Pocket called Pocket Explore. So it allows you to see things that other people are saving within a particular topic. So let's say I want to look at stuff within Amherst, New York, perhaps, and see if there's anything coming up within Pocket for Amherst, New York, which is where the Reichert House is. So you can see free speech debate, best under $10 eats in New York City, best movies. These may just have, best bagel shops in NYC, 7 must visit outer borough breweries. So it gives you some fun goodies to be able to find. Let's take a look at Niagara. So again, let's see what other articles are out there. Ew, the water turns black near Niagara Falls. That's gross. Looks like it happened not too long ago. So certainly some opportunity there. And the nice thing is that it gives us a little bit of insight into what might be impacting our local travelers. Ultimate New York Waterfalls Road Trip. This is awesome. I want to see this one. Ultimate New York Waterfalls road trip. That's really cool. So obviously we have Niagara, and it's the first one listed, but there are a lot of other ones within upstate New York. So it looks like there's a lot of opportunity there. And this would be absolutely perfect for the Reichert House because we get a lot of people that are coming in to go to Niagara. It's just 20 minutes away. So I have this one piece of content that I already know that I've got. I'm going to add it to my Pocket. So I'm saving it to my Pocket. And now next time I go into my Pocket, you'll see that the ultimate list of New York waterfalls is there. Okay, so now there's another place you can go. Stumble Upon is a little bit more of a black hole into the internet. You can select things that you might like, and it just allows you to kind of wander around through the web. So generally, what I would do is set up a Stumble Upon account specifically for the hotel. So maybe it's technology and travel. Mine has a lot more about art and cats and things like that. So of course it's going to give me a lot of different information. So if I take a look, oh, sorry about that. We've got this. I can take a look at what's trending. However, I can also take a look at just, let's see, travel perhaps. Ooh, let's look at restaurants or design. Ooh, food and cooking. Okay, so we'll look at food and cooking because I only had macaroni and cheese for lunch. Okay, so grilled fruit and cheese plate. It's a nice little set for fruit and cheese. This is really neat. Good for spring and summer or summer and fall, as cheeses are really big with your local area and whatever fruits are local. So that's a cool one. Let's take a look. Celebrate summer with America's Most Stomach Slaying Foods. Sponsored by Tums. Talks about sandwiches. So this might be great when I am about to open the restaurant. Let's say, as an example, we haven't quite opened yet, and we're doing barbecues outside to promote the restaurant. This is another kind of good little thing that we can do to go along with that. Help supplement your content. Georgia cookie candy, so yummy. Oh my gosh, this is making me hungry. French garlic soup. Holiday treats. Okay, so this is a good one, of course, because we have our, we might want to do this later on in the season around Christmas time. Some of these are looking like they're actually very traditional cookies. So we've got the black and white cookies, which are pretty standard. Sugar cookie, which is also really standard. So the Reichert House, because it's got a big historical part of its brand voice, a list of cookies might be great. Frank and Dolly Reichert also had an ice cream shop. So they were well known for creating things, whether it be ice cream or cookies, things like that. And they use that throughout the branding within the hotel. So this might be a good one for them as well. So if I'm utilizing Pocket, what I can also do is take this link and add it to my Pocket as well. So those are just a few ways that you can generate content. I'm going to stick with this ultimate New York waterfalls trip for now. I'm going to pop back over. Do you have any questions about creating curated content? Does this all make sense so far? These are just a couple of different ways that we can go in and work through coming up with some content. Pocket is not like Google. It's a little bit more like Pinterest. You can share from Pocket within Facebook, not directly, but I have this here, and I can actually just take the link. So I can click on it, and you'll see that, well, let me do it this way. I'm going to view the original, and now I have this link that I can then utilize in Nuvi. Let me type them in, getpocket.com. And Okay. So again, Pocket is a place to keep all the stuff you find on the web that you might want to use later. And it's not as public as Pinterest. It's just your Pocket. And then StumbleUpon is basically the black hole of the internet. It is much more like Google, except it's Google if you never put in a search. If you just kind of had a general topic and like wandered around the web, that's StumbleUpon. It's really addicting, but a great way to come up with content. So if you set aside an hour for content generation, and you get through all of the stuff that you initially wanted to do within the first 35 or 40 minutes, spend 5 or 10 minutes just looking through StumbleUpon and saving any of those really cool posts you see to your Pocket so you have them for later. Any other questions about content generation? No, it's separate. Pocket is its own website, so you would have your own separate login for it, as opposed to Nuvi. But you can add the posts to it. So again, if I use this little share button here, I can view the original, which is up here in this post, and then I can just copy the link over to Nuvi when I'm creating something. So I'm going to compose a post here, and this is going to go to the Reichert House. Where is the Reichert House? Where is the Reichert House? In fact, if you didn't know that you can search for stuff within your posting area, you can. So it's going to go to the Reichert House. I'm going to share this post. Now that it's, so this is a thing we'll go over in publishing. I'll wait for just a second. Any other questions? So we talked about seeking content. Now we will be going into creating content. And that could be original to the property or not. But I'll show you, I'm going to show you a few examples of really, really awesome original content. With original content, the best way to create original content is with photo and video. It's very captivating. It's very engaging. I'm going to give you an example of this. I'm going to pull up Chow Bakery. They're like the unsung hero of social media. Their new executive baker does an absolutely outstanding job. The new team that they have there, they have some new team members at Chow who do absolutely outstanding things with sugar and cookies and cake. So their photos are nothing special. They don't have to go through any great lengths to do it. The product is obscenely special. So I'm going to show you an example of some of the content that they've had come out lately, just on their normal page. So they have no special upcoming events, but they have just this beautiful little piece of content about cakes that they have here. This went out this morning, and it's already got 267 people that have reached it. Some engagement so far. I want to take a look at the rest of the posts that they have, because there was one that came out just over the past few days that's just really, really obscene. So again, nothing special here. It's just an item that they have within the bakery. It's a well-framed photo. They have their peach lavender lemonade with a beautiful tray of cookies next to it. Clearly taken on just a cell phone, nothing crazy, but really great articulation of what they have at the property. So what they have at the business. So the copy is very simple. We have a special drink this month, peach and lavender lemonade. Very simple. Tells you exactly what's in the photo and tells you where you can get it. If you wanted to add original content to curated content, let's say you do barrel-aged cocktails. You might want to promote that you have barrel-aged cocktails. You can share a link to a recipe for a aged cocktail, and then show a photo of your cocktail. So again, additional ways for people to engage with your content. This one, however, went out on July 31st at 6:20 p.m. They did not do anything crazy. They didn't boost the post. It's just photos of a cake that they did, a Coca-Cola cake that they did. Now, the really important thing to realize is when you are creating pictures for curated content for the property, the photos and video don't have to be super high quality to use on social media. The higher quality, the better. However, the thing that does need to be really high quality is the way you stage it. So even if it's a simple photo or a simple plate or a simple cake or a simple dish, it doesn't matter. Take it off of that steel table in the kitchen and put it on a table in the restaurant. Get some nice lighting around it. You can also see that Rosemary did some really cool editing with the photo itself. You can see that it's got like shading on the edges, and she amped up the contrast just a little bit. Really cool cake though. I mean, what? This is super cool. And they created this at Chow in Harrisburg. But the most outstanding thing with this particular post is it just went up on July 31st, which is just a few days ago, and it's been organically viewed by over 3,000 people. And it's had 19 shares. And it's had 19 shares, and a number of people have engaged with it. So it's been viewed a crazy number of times for something that just went out a few days ago. So I cannot stress enough that when you're curating content, when you're creating your own content, photo and video are king. Well, video might be king, photo might be queen, or depending on how feisty I'm feeling on any particular day, video might be queen and photo might be king. But they're hand in hand. They're the two top performing. They're like the creme de la creme of things you can do. And it doesn't have to be anything super high quality. You don't have to go out and buy a DSLR camera to have really well performing posts. I'll show you Tria and American Brasserie because the culinary team there does take really nice high quality photos, and it will be good for us to see that. So there's a mix of the curated content that they have there's a mix of the original content that they have between the really fun postings and jovial postings that that Terry utilizes, as well as really high quality photos that the culinary team takes. So let's take a quick scroll through here and see what else we've got. Okay, so this is one that was taken by the chef. And he did go out and purchase a DSLR camera and takes really nice high quality photos of the dishes that they do. They dress the plate completely appropriately, and then they lay it out on a table in the restaurant by a window if they can. Sometimes they have a nice outdoor garden. Sometimes they'll utilize the garden to take that. So you can go as crazy as Chef Tim at Tria and get a really nice DSLR camera and a garden and go take a marble slab out to the garden and take photos of your tomato bisque. Or you can be like Chow and just have an amazingly photogenic product and knock it out of the park that way. You can see here we have some other posts of the culinary team that are taken within the kitchen just to kind of show the action within the kitchen, and those perform well. And then we'll take a look over at the Reichert House because Susie did a wonderful job while they were going through renovation of keeping everybody updated on what was going on. So we'll take a look at the posts that they've had. So even if your hotel isn't open yet, that doesn't mean that you can't create really beautiful curated content. So we'll take a look through here. They have had some with their new guests now that they've been open. This is an example of another type of curated piece of content mixed with an original piece of content. So we took quotes for Motivation Monday. These just are quotes that come offline, and we dropped them into a Canva template. So you can take, I'm going to pull it up really quickly so you can take a look at this. We're going to get into Canva over the next few weeks. We're going to do an introductory and an advanced Canva training. But I'll just show you an example of the template that we created for them. So you could do just a quote on your page, but maybe not. What we did is we used their brand colors with existing Canva templates and just did variations of the colors and the templates. So we changed out the colors within a particular design so they don't always appear in the same way. And then we utilize they have some neat aspects that talk about their brand. So for you DoubleTree properties, perhaps this is your, you know, a PNG photo file of a cookie. For our other properties, perhaps it's just your logo, or it's nothing at all. That's fine. But to be able to share some curated content coming from other places on the web and marrying it with your brand to make it original content, those are good ways to do that as well. Any questions so far? Okay, so once we have our content together, I'm going to show you one other thing to do as well. So I'm going to do a Facebook post. I know that I want to do this ultimate road trips, but I want it to include an original piece with it. So I'm going to create a Canva template just really quickly. All I'm going to do is drop in a photo. I just want it to be the right size. Now I'm going to get that photo from a cool website called Unsplash. And this is a great way to get free, I'm going to put this in the chat box as well, a great place to get free open use photos. So you can use it for marketing. And you can see that I just typed in Niagara, but I could type in waterfall as well, and it's going to give me all of these amazing photos. So I'm just going to go ahead and download one of them. And then drop it into Canva. Add it to my design. And then I'm going to put a little text in here too. Okay, so I've got this waterfall road trip ultimate New York list. I'm just going to go ahead and download this post as a photo. Now I've got my content. It's a link, but I've also got a video that's going to go along with it. And I have to come up with a copy. So that's my next little step, is once I've created that content, I have to come up with a copy and some tags for it. So how do you get types of content to be really engaging? Now, one of the ways is primarily the content itself should be really good. But another way to do that is to think about ways that you can engage with conversations that are already going on. So whether it be a national holiday, so it could be a national food holiday, or a national, just a national holiday in general. I'm going to pull up my Google Calendar and show you an example. So let's get rid of me here, and we'll layer in national food holidays and national wine holidays. And if I take a look at the month view, you'll see that there are lots of different days that I can engage with. Now, certainly for food and wine, it's not going to be as pertinent for some of our restaurants. For some of our hotels, especially if you have a limited restaurant. But there are great ways for you to engage with local restaurants that way, or to share recipes just in general. but there are a number of different types of calendars that are out there. You can download them into your Outlook or Gmail calendars and be able to see them all kind of layered out. So this is one way to help you find out times, the most engaging times to post content, a particular type of content. Another way, and I'm going to pull this up for you as well, is using any reoccurring days of the week. So there are a number of them out there, but Motivation Monday is one of them, Travel Tuesday, Wine or Wedding Wednesday, Throwback Thursday, all of those sorts of things, Man Crush Monday. It doesn't really matter, but there are a lot of day of the week hashtags to engage with. So you can always use those. So I'm going to start out on hashtagify.me, and I'm going to send this out in the, oh, it's already there, in the chat box as well. So you have it as a resource. So this is a great way to see the types of tags and how they're associated with one another. So I'm going to do Travel Tuesday. And hashtags are all one word. So I've got Travel Tuesday. The other tags that are associated with it are giveaway, retweet, win. So maybe not. Let's take a look at travel because these are very closely correlated with one another. So the size of the bubble shows you how popular that particular tag is, and the thickness of the line shows you how often they're associated with one another. So you can see that Travel Tuesday and travel are very often associated with one another. I'm now going to click on travel and see what else is out there. So it's really closely associated with photography, which really doesn't do it for me. But adventure is a big one, so perhaps I'll do adventure. And let me take a look at road trip as well and see what comes up. So road trip comes up with travel as well. So there's a good correlation between the two of them. Vacation adventure is also there as well. So I have just kind of come up with my recipe for the types of tags that I'd like to have in this post. So from within Nuvi, I'm going to go through now. I've got my tags, right? So my engaging tags. I can also perhaps look at tagging Niagara Falls, but I'm going to come up with my thoughtful copy. So right now I'm going to go ahead and start scheduling everything since we've got just a minute left. And again, this training will be recorded, so if you have to hop off the line, you can use the same link to refer back to the training that we've done today. Okay, so I know that I'm going to post to the Reichert House. I know that I want this link. So once I've hit space or enter, it's going to allow me to delete this. I want to get rid of the photo here and add my own. And I want to add the brand new photo that I just created. The ultimate So I can customize the title and the body of that, which is exactly what I'm going to do. And I already know that some of the hashtags that I want to use are Travel Tuesday. So I'd like to post this on a Tuesday. I'm going to use travel, road trip, and adventure. So those are tags that are pretty popular. They are used pretty regularly, and let's see what else we've got. So Hashtagify we're all set with. We know we're going to do it on a Tuesday. Now I just need to come up with my nice copy. So copy, one of the big things that we forget anytime we include a link or a photo is accessibility. Not everybody is going to see or be able to see or read the link itself and know what's in it, or the photo and see what it means. So I want to make sure that I'm clearly articulating what it is that's in the post. So I can start out with something very simple saying, if you are looking for adventure, check out this road trip guide to see all of the to see each beautiful waterfall. Just one more time, beautiful waterfall in our area. So because I've used road trip in my text, I'm not going to include it down there at the bottom. So this very clearly says, if you're looking for adventure in upstate New York, check out this road trip guide to see each beautiful waterfall in our area. I'm also going to include a call to action, which can again be click on this link, or it could be what's your favorite. And I'm going to, I've already got the check out this road trip guide, but I want to ask people, what's your favorite waterfall? What is your favorite waterfall in the area? So I have that nice little bit of content. I'm describing what it is that I'm sharing, and I'm including my call to action. Any questions so far? I'm going to pop back over here, just take a quick look. I also want to include, let me just take a quick look. So the story of the Reichert house is that Frank and Dolly were local to the Amherst area, but they originally came from Pennsylvania. So I might want to include something, instead of saying if you're looking for adventure in upstate New York, I might want to do something that's a little bit more closely aligned with the story of Frank and Dolly. So this is where your brand voice comes in. This is already informative. It's already engaging, but I have the opportunity to be a little bit more fun and whimsical. So instead of just saying if you're looking for adventure in the local area, I'm going to say when Frank and Dolly came to Amherst from Pennsylvania, there weren't many cars on the road, and a road trip was the only trip. Check out this road trip guide, and I'm going to get rid of road trip here and include it earlier in my conversation so I'm not being redundant. Check out this guide to see beautiful waterfall in our area. See each beautiful waterfall in our area. And I don't want to be redundant here either. Okay, so I can now confidently say that this has a good piece of content, which I've customized and curated from other places on the web. I have also made it personalized by including a visual that I've customized using photography, also curated from the web, but I've customized it for the property. I'm also now saying Frank and Dolly came to Amherst from Pennsylvania. So that is talking about the story of the property. It's informative and engaging, just as my brand voice should be. And I know now that I'm going to schedule it for a Tuesday. So let's take a look and see. I'm going to put it on the 22nd at, I'll do it sometime in the evening while people are out of work. I'm going to do 4:54 p.m. I'm going to set that date and time. And I'm going to schedule that post. So now I can go over and see my calendar page and see all of the other content that's scheduled there. So I've got this waterfall road trip scheduled for the 22nd of August. Now go back over here and just take a look, see if there are any questions that have come in. All right, so we've talked about thoughtful copy, and we've also published our post, which we do through Nuvi. Nuvi allows us to publish posts through Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as Pinterest, which is pretty cool. So I've published that post, and then I have the option, you should always circle back and engage with the content. So if, let's take a look back over here, I know that on the Reichert House page, we may have had other people that have commented or anything like that. You might want to go back and circle back and make sure that you are engaging with that. So David Morbido shared the photo. So you could always go in and say thanks for that. This is one of our Davids, so. So there you go. So a number of different ways for us to engage with the posts that we have already published out. You have this one share here from Lori Schreiber. So always a good idea to go back and circle back and make sure that you're engaging with your guests. You can also review for understanding, and we've gone through this training before in Nuvi, but basically, again, what you would do is you'll go to your channels and you will pull your reporting, which you can do as often as you'd like to. It's always available for you. Don't ever feel like you have to, you can only do it on the days that we've scheduled a call. You can do it at any time. So you would go into your posts, take a look at the time frame. So I'm going to do the last 90 days. It'll show me all of the posts that we've had, how many people have liked, shared, and commented. So you'll be able to see all of the engagement. The one area that it won't show you here is the reach. So you would need to go into Facebook for that. And in order to do that, you would go into Insights and look at posts. And then you can see the reach of each of those posts, and you can sort by that as well. Of course, it's not going to let me do it right now, but I have all of my published posts, and you can see which ones have performed best. So Cassie and Dana, that post performed really well. We're Open, that post performed well. Beautiful Restaurant, that's performed well. So always circle back. We've already covered a lot of those tools. Those will all be made available to you. So you have, of course, Nuvi, Pocket, StumbleUpon, Hashtagify, Unsplash, all of those different places that we went and looked at today. So lots of different tools available for you. And we also saw some of those examples. So of course we saw the amazing cake from Chow Bakery. Lots of other great examples out there throughout the portfolio. I like to steal ideas. I firmly believe that it's a good idea to share those ideas. If it's performing well for somebody else, there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. It may very well perform well for us as well. Any questions at all about anything that we've gone over so far? I'm going to pop back into our notes section and just see if anything's come up from the field. Doesn't look like I've had any questions so far. I'm just going to check email really quickly to see if there have been any questions that have come in. Doesn't look like there are any questions at all. Okay, well, in that case, if there are no other questions, I'll go ahead and stop sharing. So thank you all again for taking the time to be here today. I really appreciate it. Hopefully that was helpful to you. I know that creating content is one of the most time-consuming and difficult things that we do. So hopefully taking a look at some of those tools that we discussed today will help you along your process. And of course, if you have any questions or difficulty, please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. So we talked about how to target our stuff, our content, based on who we are as a brand and as an individual property, and also who we're speaking to. We talked about how to cultivate our content, so about places we can go to find content on other places of the web, ways that we can supplement that with visuals to customize them a little bit more. We talked about being able to, ways that we can create content internally, so whether it be a video or a photo, and we'll go more in depth into video content in future trainings as well. And then we talked about how to take that content, and that once you've got it, and create good, thoughtful copy for it, engaging tags, and also honing that in and making sure that it's still applying to the brand voice. So we also very carefully and gently touched on, we very briefly touched on the analytics portion of Nuvie as well, which of course we've gone through in depth before. We've done whole trainings just on analytics and Nuvie. Those recordings are available, so if you have any questions and need any additional information, don't hesitate to let me know. I'll take a quick look at my calendar because we have a few trainings coming up that I want to make sure that you all know about. So next week is the DOSM conference, so we'll see a lot of you there, a lot of our DOSMs there. We have a social media Canva for beginners training on Monday, August 14th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you'll be getting the invite for that soon. We also have on the 21st of August, we have a social media video content training. And then at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Monday, the 28th of August, we have social media Canva advanced training. So if you'll be getting invites for all of those. That's also at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. Otherwise, again, thank you all for being here, and we'll talk again really soon. Enjoy today.